Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode of Inside the USN here for stage number 3. I'm your host, Velly. Right next to me, we have my man, Blue. Blue, this is it. 2 stages down, 2 more stages left to go, 4 teams qualified. How do you feel about this?
It's going to be awesome. We're at the beginning of another stage here, obviously. We've already had some really exciting stuff happen in the first week of action. We've got 3 more weeks of qualifiers to go. Then we've got those conference qualifiers to come up. And we still got wildcard, of course, our 4th stage to talk about. So a lot to break down. Let's not waste any time.
Let's jump right into it. So for those of you that are tuning in for the very first time, or for those of you that already know the deal, let's go ahead and talk about what the topics are today. We are going to talk about the $700 that we gave away in the Venmo contest. We have the Western and Eastern summary, the viewers Q&A, and also a look into the upcoming week. Well, I know that you guys love money, so Blue, go ahead and tell them about the Venmo contest.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Venmo Community Spotlight, a time where we celebrate you, the community, and your gameplay highlights, fails, and everything in between, all for a chance to win cash in your Venmo account, possible attendance at the USN finals, and even potentially meeting and playing against Team USA. Now, as usual, over the last week, you guys have been submitting those clips, and of course, you've been including the hashtag Venmo Community Spotlight, which for any of you that submit those clips in the future, make sure you do indeed include that, along with submitting it to the link that's going to pop up here in just a second over at esl.gg/Venmo-R6USN. This contest runs every single week here at USN, guys, so make sure you are submitting your clips to that link, and obviously getting your submissions in, as that's how you have a chance to win up to $500 for first place or $100 for second and third place. That's enough of us blabbering, though. It's time to get into the clips that won this week. So let's start off with clip number 3.
The first $100 clip of the day. This is Fate, and he has a disgusting 4K.
Let's take a look at this one. A nice little second one here, but the transition to get the next 2.
And for our second place clip of the day, listen, if you carry your team on your back like this, you deserve $100.
Got our man under pressure right from the start, but he's thriving in it. Picks up a double kill. Now, though, the bomb just going down, so now he's going to try to get the clutch in the 1v2. Let's see how this plays out.
This man's an absolute monster. You see the ping going out, and bam, headshot, but now he's going to find himself in the 1v1.
Got a real gamer moment about to develop here now. He's just going to try to push in. Only 1 more player left to deal with. We can see that defuse timer getting a little bit lower as he's skipping around a bit in the clip, but regardless, gets the job done. Nicely handled.
And the first place clip of the day is going to go to Factor. A little bit of professional gameplay as you see him just be masterful with the SMG-11 right here.
Got a familiar face, it seems. Let's see what he clutches out for us here today. Skip forward a little bit into the round. A little bit of a run out. Let's see. Ooh, smooth on the SMG-11. I like it.
I feel bad for Flack. And you see a lot of familiar names here. We saw Noski, we saw Flack, and Factor, he just doesn't care what your name is. He's going to go ahead and pop you on the head every single time he sees you.
1 more to go. Let's see. I'm assuming he's got it, but we need to see the kill itself, and there it is. Good stuff from Factor. And that is our Venmo Community Spotlight for this week. Congratulations to our winners. And remember, if you want to have some funds added to your Venmo account, see Team USA crowned at the finals, or possibly play against them, be sure to click the contest links in the description to learn how. That'll do it for the Venmo Community Contest for now, though, but it's time to move on. So let's take a look at the Western Conference and have Velly summarize that.
And for the Western summary, the first game of the day, it was Drac Esports facing off against Two-Face. And Drac Esports, I felt pretty bad for them because they were a 2-week-old team finding themselves in unfamiliar territory, and it definitely showed as they lost 1-7 on Bank. But you know what, little homie, he showed up, and with his entry kills, he was able to keep his team in the game to go ahead and get their 1 win. But after that, it was a Dream and Butter show. So we saw Dream go ahead and get an ace, and Butters was able to run around and do whatever he wanted. But Drac Esports, they definitely learned from that loss, and by watching the VOD and just practicing and getting better as a team, they were able to qualify to play once again here in USN. So that's really good to see. So the first game of the day, there wasn't really much to talk about. It was pretty lackluster and a dominant performance coming in from Two-Face. But the real game of the day were the finals. And for the last game of the day, it was Disrupt Gaming going toe-to-toe against Two-Face. And it was such an exciting game. But before the game, there was a huge team change that had recently happened. So for Disrupt Gaming, they lost one of their biggest names, the Evil Geniuses. It was Mo Digga, and we all know him for being a fearless slayer. So with Thumbus filling in for Mo Digga, he showed that he was able to fill in perfectly well as they were able to go ahead and snatch out a win by 2 rounds, 7-5. And the strategy was pretty interesting because Two-Face, they were really bound on just staying off-site and fighting Disrupt to stop them from even stepping toe to put down the diffuser. But you know what? Disrupt Gaming and their aggression was just way too much. They were able to overcome Two-Face, and they were your champions here in the Western side. Now that concludes the Western ceremony, let's go ahead and talk about the Eastern side of things, where one of my personal favorite games of the week went down with my boys on Shrug. Blue, take it away.
Welcome to the breakdown of the Eastern Conference for this week. Things started out as we saw Dark Zero go up against Parallax Gaming. A bit of a rematch from earlier in the season where we had a bit of an upset and Parallax was able to knock Dark Zero out. This time, though, Dark Zero came in ready to fight. They were able to win out their match quite confidently, and we even had a really, really insane moment from Mint specifically, who managed to pull off something that we haven't seen here on the Rainbow Six channel since Season 1. A 1v5 situation that Mint managed to pull off. It was absolutely incredible, and we saw some crazy stuff from him. The real highlight of the week for the Eastern Conference was honestly Team Shrug, who surprised everybody with their performance, managing to pull out the upset against Rise Nation with 3 separate players having really crazy rounds in the process of this as well. We saw Mexican's 4K entry back in round number 1, where he just ran through the entire defensive setup that Rise had managed to go for. That surprised them at the start, but then we saw things really start to shake up as we got later and later into the matchup, where through 2 consecutive rounds, we saw not loading nearly clutch a 1v3, and Cloudstruck actually clutched a 1v3 as well. This team proved to be absolutely crazy. Unfortunately for Shrug, they would drift a little bit too close to the sun in that first match and would prove not strong enough to be able to take out Dark Zero in their third match. Unfortunately, some players such as Mexican were having problems being focused or otherwise playing too aggressively against the much more veteran Dark Zero at the end of the day, and had struggles especially towards the beginning of the match. And at the end of the day, we saw Dark Zero take them out. A much cleaner performance from them to make their way into the conference qualifier when compared to Stage 2, meaning they go through as our first team for the Eastern Conference here in Stage 3. That covers our weekly wrap-ups, though, of each of our conferences. So let's talk about what's to come in the coming weeks.
And with everything coming up in this upcoming week, I mean, what didn't happen? Roster Mania went down. We have lopsided brackets. Blue, can you go ahead and just tell everybody what happened this week here in USN?
Yeah, so the big story that's coming up here over the next few days is, first of all, EG is playing for the first time. We thought they were going to enter last week, but for some reason they did not. So they've jumped into the Western Conference, actually, whereas if I remember correctly, back in year 1, they actually played for the Eastern Conference. They've actually switched around a little bit. But since EG is, well, EG, it seems a lot of our, normal teams that play on a weekly basis in USN saw that and decided to dodge them, as we have more than double the signups this week in the Eastern Conference bracket. You guys can go ahead over to the play.r6US Nationals website to be able to see those brackets and the hilarity that ensued from it. But it's created a very cool situation. We're going to have EG and Luminosity potentially duking it out on that Western Conference bracket, and we've got a lot of our normal returning teams such as Parallax jumping in for the Eastern Conference as well. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And it's pretty funny because of the fact that, okay, now that all of you weenies went ahead and you guys avoided Evil Geniuses by jumping into the Eastern bracket, it's pretty funny because Evil Geniuses, they had a huge team change. Canadian is no longer on the team. Canadian was replaced by Mo Digga, and this team, they're still scary, man. I would say they're even scarier than ever when it comes to firepower because of the fact that Mo Digga, he's such a fearless player. He's able to roam around and rack up a bunch of kills. He's a huge playmaker. He's not an in-game leader like Canadian was for this roster, but things are definitely clicking. But Luminosity on the other end, oh, they're scary as well.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely going to be a lot of fun to be able to watch these matches as usual, and it's the same as every stage right now. We've closed one of the slots that's available for the conference qualifiers. There's only 3 more to go, so you got to keep up with the action, obviously.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. Let's go ahead and jump into the viewer Q&A, and I'm excited to see what you guys are going to go ahead and ask us. So let's go ahead and kick things off with the first question of the day, which is going to be, do you think all 8 NA Pro League teams will make it to the USN Finals? I don't think so.
I don't think so either, considering we only have 8 LAN slots.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be the case because of the amount of upsets we've had happen. Now, to be fair, that is relying on some of them happening on a best-of-3 basis to actually qualify.
Yes.
But still, I think we're going to end up with a couple surprises come the LAN finals.
Especially considering the fact that USN finals in 2018 over in Las Vegas, there were teams that were there that actually were not in Pro League. So keep that in mind. So question number 2, let's jump right into it. It is going to be, what was your favorite USN moment so far? Oh, shrug. I want to say Shrug.
It all happened this last week for me.
Yeah.
It was the really cool plays from Shrug. Like, we're fanboying on them a little bit now. Like, one, because obviously we have a friend on that team, Flynn.
Yes.
Well, he's not on the USN roster, but he plays for that team in other leagues as well. But they also just, like, they kind of came out of nowhere, and they had this really surprising performance. And that was cool to see. But my best moment was the 1v5, just because apparently that is so rare to see happen. Like, someone made a post on Reddit, and, like, I think I mentioned it before, we haven't seen that happen since like season 1 as well.
Really?
Yeah. So that's been a really long time since we've seen that happen, at least on the official Rainbow Six stream.
Yeah.
That was my favorite moment personally.
Also, I want to give a big shout out to Parallax Gaming. They went ahead and they upsetted Dark Zero. That was probably the first crazy moment that we had in USN so far. But with third question of the day, what the heck was an ace clutch by man? That's exactly what Blue was talking about. Blue, take it away, man.
Yeah, I mean, man had no business pulling that off at the end of the day, basically. Like, Parallax obviously messed that up pretty heavily as well with the, like, certain angles and duels that they were taking on it, but man, just really great stuff from him. Dark Zero even posted, I think, on their Twitter as well, some of the comms in that situation. Oh, yeah. And you can see just how good they were and how much information they were feeding him. How much, you know, like, it was a good amount, too. They weren't overfeeding him any info. Just a really well-played moment by Mint, and obviously being supported by some of his teammates there.
And a big shout out to Dark Zero for posting that clip, because the fact was when they were making the call outs, they had drones in specific places to be able to call out where every single player was. So Mint wasn't really running in there blind. He knew exactly where players were prone at, he knew where players were hiding at, and that's why he was able to pull out the 1v5. But let's go ahead with the next question of the day. Which non-qualified teams have impressed you the most?
I feel like we're just going around in a circle here now.
Same thing. Shrug and Parallax Gaming for me, easily.
Yeah, I would just say Shrug, just because there's so much potential there.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see them this week, unfortunately, but hopefully we get to see them pop up a few more times.
And unfortunately, because of roster mania, I was going to say Rise Nation. I really love the combination and the duo of Tracken and Factor, because they were pretty much, you know, the Slay brothers, the Bash brothers. And Factor, he got promoted over to Pro League, and Tracken, I have no idea where this man is. He's chilling with Carmen Sandiego right now. But there's still a lot of talent out there. So we're halfway through USN so far. So there's going to be way more upsets, way more exciting teams to watch, and I can't wait to see it all unfold, you know, right before our own eyes. So let's go ahead with our next question. Will Rogue defend their championship title? I don't think so. Rogue, they're you know, I feel like they're one of the most inconsistent teams when it comes to this. I love every single person on that roster, but they seem to be going through some issues. They recently replaced their coach, which is Ranger, and their analyst stepped up, but the same issues are still there. They're a team that can be either the best team in the game on Monday and wind up losing to, you know, a bunch of nobodies on Tuesday. You never know which Rogue you're really going to get.
Yeah, I personally don't think we'll see them defend their title. A lot of it depends on who we end up seeing go to the LAN finals, and with us still missing 4 of those slots, is a little bit, you know, hard to tell since the competition isn't fully fleshed out yet. But if it's who I expect it to be, I would personally say that they don't defend it, just, again, for the reasons that Velly mentioned. I think there's been a lot of inconsistency for Rogue. Originally, I was convinced that it was more just tied to online games, but I think this is starting to spread a little bit maybe, and we could start to see it impact them on LAN games as well.
Yes, but I'm going to just throw it out there. I love Rogue, so no shade to Rogue, but they know they can be better out there. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. That was the last question of the day. But you know what? Stage 3 here for USN has been the most exciting stage so far. In my personal opinion, with the rise of Rise Nation, we saw Shrug, Parallax Gaming, they're back in the fold. We have Evil Geniuses now starting to enter these qualifiers along with Luminosity. So we're really in for a treat, Blue. What do you really expect as we close off for this episode of Inside USN?
Throughout Stage 3, I'm expecting us to see, I think, at least one team try to make a run to qualify this time. One of those underdog teams that we've been seeing upset in the best of ones, but hasn't been able to make it that far in the conference qualifiers just yet. I think in Stage 3 we might see one of them run the distance, but we'll have to see. I think more than likely that's going to end up on the Eastern Conference. It's looking like I think we'll end up with teams like EG and LG duking it out for the slot here in Stage 3 for the Western Conference, but Eastern's a little bit more open. I think that's where we might see one of those lesser-known teams shine.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, but that's pretty much it for the day. I want to thank every single one of you for tuning in to this fantastic episode of Inside the USN. Make sure you go ahead and participate in the Venmo contest because Blue and I, like I said before, we give away $700 every single week. I know you guys love money and I love giving away money, so make sure you submit those clips and make sure you tune in this Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern for our U.S. Nationals qualifiers that are streamed right here. So that's it from me. I'm Velly, this is Blue, and we'll see you next time on Inside the USN.